Toys Gamer here. We are at the Splash Damage / Nexon booth here. We're taking a look at Extraction. It's Jordan here. I have Alastair from the Splash Damage team and Chris from Nexon here. Reese is joining us today as well for this appointment. So we're trying to cover all the bases with this. Extraction, first of all, let me say, exciting game. Exciting. I am. It's not often that I'll start chipping in and start barking orders to people just on the fly, like on the floor like this. So that made it quite fun. You're trying to push into territory. I mean, obviously you have some experience. I mean, you did Brink, which I enjoyed it. Fun team-based game. So you're trying to push it to the next level of Extinction.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean,
Extraction.
Extraction.
Yeah, man.
It's alright, buddy. It's been a long 3 days. It's okay. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Team-based shooters and objective-based shooters are kind of our bread and butter at Splash Damage. So there's Wolfenstein Enemy Territory, there's Enemy Territory Quake Wars, there was Brink. So we've got so many learnings from those games, and from our fans, we're really blessed to have very active, passionate, forum goers and fans who always let us know, what they want out of our next game. And then, of course, we've got our own ideas about what we did right, in the last games we want to improve upon and build upon, and maybe some things we did wrong that we want to kind of correct in our next title. So. We're really excited with Extraction to kind of be moving away from classes and into a character-based game. So what I mean by that is in some of our previous games, you might come to a bomb that needed to be disarmed or an area that needed to be hacked, and if you weren't the correct class, you were kind of out of luck. But with Extraction, every character can kind of perform those objectives. You can hack, you can disarm, you can plant. But there are still strengths and weaknesses within characters. So there are some who are really quick at hacking or really quick at diffusing. So it's much more about kind of character-based strengths and weaknesses rather than really rigid adherence to classes. And breaking those kind of shackles has really meant we can get a lot more creative when it comes to character design. So there's no need, although we do have Sawbones, for example, who kind of plays a medic role. In future, there's nothing to say that we can't have guys who might be able to revive his allies and have like a scout sniper rifle as well, because we're not having these rigid classes. We're just having a range of awesome characters with some fantastic special abilities that differentiate them one from the other. So we almost think about it as almost like League of Legends or Dota in terms of characters with their strengths and weaknesses, different abilities, and how a kind of team composition with various different characters in it will radically change the kind of complexion of a match.
Yeah, it's weird because playing it, it seemed like you were breaking the archetype a lot of what we've come to know. I had the privilege playing the class with the airstrikes. I mean, sure, I can get in there and tangle with them, but it's not always my best option. I mean, because I'm also tied to a support role as well, because I know using that assault rifle, I was chewing through ammo pretty fast, so I can imagine other people are doing the same thing. Is that something you really wanted to do, is to balance that weakness that a lot of other games have, to where everybody can just kind of push in and, duke it out, rather than just kind of trade fisticuffs, I guess, rather than thinking about it?
I mean, we really want players to be able to work together as a team and to have a lot of kind of mastery over not only their characters but also the team play and the maps. So it's easy to pick up. I mean, you guys had fun with it straight away. You've had so many guys on the show floor having fun with it really quickly. So it's easy to pick up. But there's such a huge amount of depth there to playing each character and to playing each map and each mode. We're really excited to see the kind of team play that comes out of that. The other really exciting thing for us is the style of combat. So you mentioned there about kind of getting down and dirty and getting involved. And the kind of gunplay that we have is we kind of describe it almost like a dogfight. It's very mobile, lots of hip fire. It's not super kind of lethal. So it's not about crouching and waiting and iron sighting and trying to one-shot someone. It's much more mobile than that, much more fun than that. If you start getting shot, you can react, you can turn, you can return fire. So as you've seen, you get a kind of swirling, combat with everyone running around, spraying from the hip. And it's a kind of feel that our fans and other shooter fans really haven't seen since the days of, Enemy Territory, Quake Wars or Wolfenstein Enemy Territory. We're really happy to bring it back. We're really happy that everyone's so excited to play it.
It still has that like tinge of mania that Brink had. I mean, obviously you're not working with stylized characters with that. The world hasn't fallen apart, and we're not using that as a story base. Instead, it's something a little more familiar, what people would, a little closer to real life, so people can connect to it more on that level. Did you find that coming off a project like that made it harder to do that kind of work again?
Not really. I think a lot of the team were kind of, would enjoy the change. So, Extraction is set in London about 2018. A series of dirty bombs has gone off, so London's irradiated, and teams of mercenaries are kind of the only guys prowling the streets. So they're taking on contracts to generally recover or destroy data cores, because the data's still valid. It's been irradiated, but it's still important. And there are shadowy figures out there who either want the secrets buried or the secrets extracted. So these teams of mercs battle it out to try and get their hands on these data cores. So that's the setting. It's a lot more relatable. There's a slight level of stylization to the characters, although the world, hopefully you'll agree, looks great and is a really fantastic vision of London that everyone can relate to, but it still has some really nice, distinct visual elements.
And the one you have on the show floor, I was kind of noticing that too. It has that brick texture that you associate with the streets of London. I noticed that right away. I was like, wow, that really has that old kind of worn feel, but it's still warm. It's kind of deceiving when you're fighting in the streets, like in a situation like that, because you wouldn't necessarily. I don't associate London with war, so.
You associate London with bricks.
What's that?
You associate London with bricks? Is that what you think?
Bricks, cars.
That's all
We have both.
Yeah.
All the bricks you could want.
But it's nice to see that you took those aesthetics, that step towards making it familiar still and not trying to distance people. And I think that adds a lot to the character-driven part, rather than just, well, here's my weapon A, here's my weapon B, let's see what we can do.
Yeah, it's very important to us that not only was the setting relatable, so you can kind of tell your friends, I kicked my buddy's ass in Whitechapel or Camden or in any of these other kind of fantastic locations. But it's also really fun for us to put those kind of spins on them. So Camden, there you're playing in the canals that have been drained, and that was a lot of fun for the art team and the level design team to kind of get their teeth into that challenge and that vision. So that was important to us, and the characters, making them as exciting as they can be, making them as distinct as they can be, and really making sure that there's a lot of depth to the tactics and how they play, and a lot of difference to how they play. It was really crucial, because we're going to be unleashing so many great characters on players, all their own different levels of mastery, getting a hold on their weapons and their special abilities, because they're absolutely more than their weapon. It's about movement speed, hack speed, disarm speed, the special abilities they have, if they can call in airstrikes or use medkits and supply their allies, whatever it might be. There's so much more to each character than the previous kind of rigidly defined classes. And that's what we're so excited about. We can't wait to see the different teams and team compositions that emerge as we kind of drop in more and more characters.
Is that something you wanted to use to be able to push this into like maybe an esports arena? Because this is such a fast-paced game and it's so crazy that like I was saying, I felt forced to talk to people and bark out orders, because if you don't coordinate, you have all 4 people dead waiting for a respawn timer, or 5 people dead waiting for a respawn timer, you're out of luck. And I think that's what happened when we were playing. It seemed like our team got all wiped out by half an airstrike, and you're not there. So it has that element, that communication, that teamwork that has to be pushed, it feels like. So did you have that in mind creating it, that you wanted to push into that kind of competitive arena?
So, first and foremost, we just wanted to make a really fun game. That was our focus. Obviously we're known for objective-based, team-based gameplay. We love, we like deathmatch, and we love team deathmatch too, and we're going to include, team deathmatch mode just to help players get used to the initial gunplay, the pacing of the game, and the kind of hip fire. But really we want people to kind of move on to the objective-based gameplay as soon as they can, because that's where the real fun is for us. When you see those teams working together and overcoming those objectives, it's so much fun when a plan comes together, to sort of paraphrase Hannibal. So we really had to balance the title, and that's been very important to us. So we use a phrase kind of shaped by gamers when it comes to extraction, and that means a couple of things. First and foremost, we've had players in our kind of inner circle, sort of VIP, who they've had really early access from when the levels were grey box, untextured. They've been very patient with us. They've given us fantastic feedback throughout. But as well as the forum feedback and the kind of verbal feedback, we've got this tool called Echo. So we have kind of Fireteam, a sister company that handle all of our online services. And Echo is a kind of telemetry gathering, metrics gathering tool. So every shot that's fired, every footfall, every kind of cricket bat to the face by proxy, it's all recorded, and it helps us balance the maps, the flow through the maps, the respawn times, the weapon damage, balancing one character against another. So it has led to a very balanced experience. Ultimately, whether this becomes a successful esports shooter, that's for the community to decide. We'd love it if it became a really successful esports shooter. We certainly agree that it's got all that team play, that high degree of mastery that seems to be very popular for esports players. We'll just see what the community makes of it. But fingers crossed.
When you get to that feedback, that's a pretty excessive amount of stuff to get back from people. I mean, if you're breaking it down to telemetry, hotspots, stuff like that, do you look at that and say, okay, well, we've done this map style and we have this kind of concentration, but should we flip it, you know, but maybe keep the same map for this one and maybe kind of push forward? Because in instance on the one you're showing on the floor, it's all like one kind of progressive map. Have you considered, you know, like extending it into another field that kind of flips it, you know, like, hi, I'm going from an indoor warehouse situation to a, you know, shipyard on the outside that plays completely different than what your other ones look like?
Yeah, so you played Camden today, and you played about 2/3 of the map. It's kind of a bespoke demo really for PAX to make sure it's the right kind of play length. We've got a ton of maps, and each different map brings with it different objectives. So there are some maps that will have you kind of escorting an extraction vehicle through the streets, trying to block barricades that are in the way. Others will see you trying to control areas and lock buildings down. You'll move from indoors to outdoors and everything in between. So each map brings with it, you know, new tactical opportunities, new gameplay opportunities. You're going to have to use different characters, you know, who'll be strong and weak in different areas. It's basically every map's such a different challenge. It's really exciting to see what people make of it. So we've got them set all over London. Maps from Battersea, Whitechapel, Victoria, Waterloo, and again they each present something really, really different in terms of you know, tactics and objectives and the way to attack it as a team.
Mm-hmm. And when you're looking at balance and stuff, especially when you have such diverse classes, did you find it difficult to find a good weapon balance in terms of, I mean, you're still a little bit in the future, so you can still base it somewhat in what we could realistically attain. Did you find that part difficult to kind of master and just for variety's sake?
I think that's where our experience as a studio comes in. So, you know, we've made so many shooters now that when it comes to kind of weapon balance and weapon creation and knowing what works and what doesn't, and which combination of weapons for a given character, you know, it presents the kind of the most fun or gives them a certain edge in one type of engagement or another. And that's something that we really understand well at Splash Damage. The fact it's set slightly in the future does mean that we you know, we can come up with some very cool special abilities for the characters. I mean, the set we're showing today are some of the most kind of relatable, easy to understand characters. We've got some kind of slightly, you know, crazier, more out there, more interesting characters kind of coming on stream. And we're really excited to see what players make of those. So you're always firing weapons that you understand with a solid kick, that, you know, sending lead down range, because people like that. So it's unlikely, you know, we're going to be firing laser guns or anything like that. But we do have license to come up with some really exciting abilities for the characters.
Fantastic. Chris, I kind of wanted to know how Nexon got involved in it in the end. I mean, Splash Damage obviously has been a company that kind of has a pedigree behind them, so it's nice to see a kind of shift in terms of, you know, what a company might expect, you know, out of a game like this.
Well, you know, we had been looking around. We wanted to find something, you know, we were looking around for the right game for us to launch, and just so happens they were looking for the right publisher to launch a free-to-play game with. And I know they met with a lot of people, and we looked at a lot of different games, and then when the two came together, it just seemed like the match made in heaven. I mean, not only did we have similar ideals about what we wanted for this game, but we also had similar personalities, similar working styles, and it just seemed like it gelled right away. And we're really excited about it. I mean, Splash Damage has a great reputation as a multiplayer shooter developer. You know, easily one of the cream of the crop when it comes to that. And we have a great reputation as a free-to-play publisher. You know, that's what we do. That's what they do. Together, we're going to do it both extremely well, I believe. And you know, we're really excited about this game. I mean, just looking at it here, you know, this is very early. We haven't even gone into closed beta yet, and I think it looks very polished.
Oh yeah,
we're getting great response from players here at PAX. We've had a line from the moment the door opens until we tell people no more. So, yeah, you know, it's been great.
That's something I was surprised by, because, I mean, you come to a show like this, a lot of people are still kind of demoing off their product. It's still in an early build. This doesn't feel like it's in an early build at all.
And yet it still is an early build. You know, that's the thing, and that's what's great about it. I mean, this is an early build. There's still a lot of work to be done, of course, but so far we're really happy with where things are and where we're headed with them. And we can't wait to get it out there and have everybody playing it, not just those lucky enough to be here in Seattle this weekend.
In terms of, I mean, Nexon has been huge in, you know, more focusing, it seems like more the MMO kind of RPG style of games. I mean, you guys obviously have that element within your core. What made you look to something more like teaming up with Splash Damage to get Extraction out there?
Well, I think that first of all, there is still definitely an MMO feel to this to some extent. But we're always looking for some variety. I mean, if you look at our catalog, not all of our games are exactly the same, and we're always looking to expand and reach different players and more players and bring new experiences to our players. And we think that this really helps do that. Also, as Alastair's been mentioning, we think this game could be great for esports or competitive gaming or tournaments. And I think that that's a really exciting thing. I think that, even though esports have been around for a little while now, they haven't really started to grow into their own until recently.
We're official now.
What's that?
I said we're official now.
That's right.
You're a registered sport now.
Exactly. So, I think that it was the right time for us to expand into something that kind of would fit into that mold. And like I said, we're just really excited to be working with these guys on this game.
And do you think, because obviously this is a free-to-play game, so are you looking to try to monetize it in ways that other games have in the history? Because a lot of things you think of a game like this or League of Legends, people start throwing around the word pay to win, basically.
Well, our goal is definitely to make this free to play, free to win. We haven't looked at any real specific. I mean, they haven't even created a store in a build yet. We have not even had a store put into one of the versions of the game yet, because first things first, the game needs to be good, needs to be fun. Then you can start worrying about how to make money off of it. We know that if the game is as good as it can be, people will be willing to pay. But our real goal is for whether you're a free player or a paying player, we want you to have a great experience and a fun experience. And in terms of how we're going to monetize it, we've definitely got some ideas, but we haven't really made any final decisions yet.
Might as well get the game ready to a good polished degree before then. But.
Exactly, but our number one goal, once again, is that we want it to be free to play, free to win. We don't want it to be a pay to win situation. We want to avoid that at all costs, and so that's why we want to take our time and not rush into trying to figure out the microtransaction model or whatever right away. We know there will be some sort of microtransaction model, because unfortunately, we are still a business.
Yeah.
As much as we'd love to be a charity, but
gotta pay the bills, man.
So yeah, eventually we will be doing some sort of microtransactions, but we're not really concerned about that right now. Other than we want to stick to that one value of free to play, free to win.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I want to thank you two for taking a little bit of time with me today. I do appreciate it. Like I said, it's mayhem, fun. It looks polished the way it is. It's great on the show floor. I mean, I'm ready to play it. So.